Hey guys, I got a new video for you today, and today we're going to be looking at a brand new knife that I picked up last week while I was at Blade Show in Atlanta, Georgia. And as you guys can see from the box here, this is by Jason Brous of Brous Blades. I always love going by his booth because his knives are very innovative, really cool designs, fit and finish is perfect, and his flippers are always buttery smooth and they lock up rock solid. So I love talking to him because you can definitely tell that he puts his heart and soul into every single one of his knives. Now, what he's done is he's brought a couple of his knives to Blade Show to kind of debut them, but some of them actually aren't scheduled to be released until later on this year. This is actually one of those models. He did bring a couple of pieces with him, so if anybody was interested in picking one up beforehand, you can go ahead and do so. So I obviously jumped on that. This model is called the Hardwire, and again, it's scheduled to be released later on this year. So there's not a lot of information out there. So I'll go ahead and show you guys the knife and give you a couple of opinions on it. So it comes in this nice box here. As you open it up, you have your certificate of authenticity. And he calls these knives semi-custom, and that's because there's usually a limited run of these. So this particular one has a 500-piece run. So, and as you guys can tell by the birth date right here, September 2nd, 2016, that's when these knives are actually scheduled to be released. So in the back right here, you also have a couple of information on the knife. So again, it's called the Hardwire. This is serial number 7 of 500. So I was pretty excited to get such a low serial number, especially on the knife that's actually not even been released yet. Then you can have your tool right here. So if you do want to go ahead and take it apart to clean it or anything like that, you can go ahead and do that. So it's cool that they include all that. And here is the knife itself. Set this to the side. Now, the first thing that caught my eye on this knife is the sheer size of it. This is a fairly long knife. And but what that means is that it has an overall length of 9 3/4 inches. But I think he did a great job of keeping the ratio of the blade to the ratio of the handle very, very nice. Obviously, it is a flipper, so I'll go ahead and flip it open so you guys can see. And there it is, buttery smooth. And that's a really wicked looking blade. I think it's really awesome. Definitely indicative of what Jason Brous does. Blade length on this is 4.5 inches. So again, you have a really long blade and then an overall very long knife. Now, the aesthetics of the knife itself, and basically what that means is the way that the handle correlates to the blade was really awesome. I really dig that too. And I don't know if you guys can make it out, but just the way that the handle kind of slopes up and then it kind of tapers out like this, and then it follows into the blade, and then it slopes up again. I thought that was really awesome. And he mirrored that also with the designs here on the handle material. The handle material is actually blue and black G10, and then you have that design aesthetics on either side there. Very, very comfortable. It's nice and grippy, especially on this bigger size knife. So you're not going to have to worry about it slipping or anything like that when you're using it. Now, I would consider this more of a light to medium use knife. I wouldn't, go, doing too much heavy work with it. And that's because of the blade itself. This is a fairly thin blade and actually thins down towards the tip right here, which ends in a very wicked and acute point. So this makes for a great piercing knife. But it's also a really awesome slicing knife. And that's because of the two different designs right here on the blade. So this bottom piece of the blade right here, I can easily see choking up on the blade and using it to do more intricate work if you had to. And then you have the rest of the blade right up here to do the rest of the cutting and slicing and things like that. And you have this this cool kind of cutout on the blade right here. As far as the blade goes, this is actually the satin finish model. So he does do a couple different finishes on the blade. It's nice and shiny. And it's D2 tool steel. That's kind of what he favors for the majority of his knives. In the inside portion of the flipper right here, you actually have your serial number. So again, this one is number 7 of 500. And I was pretty excited again to get such a low serial number, which was really cool. So as you guys can see right here, this is obviously a liner lock. It locks up nice and rock solid. I'll go ahead and close it so you guys can see the centering of the blade. And again, perfectly centered right there. Flipper acts very, very well, very responsive, which is really nice. And you have your liners right there, and the liners are milled out, so you have a lot of it milled out, which actually helps reduce the weight because again, this is a fairly large knife, but because of how thin it is, it rides in the pocket very, very nicely. and you have your pocket clip right here. And I like it when they do larger pocket or longer pocket clips on bigger knives, because it kind of makes me feel like it's going to secure the knife in your pocket a lot better, as opposed to having just a small little pocket clip there. And then you have your logo right at the end there. Now the clip is nice and smooth, so it slides in and out of the pants very nicely. And then it actually has a pretty deep ride. Flow-through design, so it's very easy to clean, you know, and then you have your two kind of standoffs in the back there. So that's pretty much all the information that I have available on the knife itself. I'm not exactly sure on the weight, but because again, it's hasn't even been released yet. But I can tell you from, you know, carrying it for a couple of days that it rides very, very nicely in the pocket. Every time that I bring it out to flip it, it basically acts the way that it should, and it is, again, very comfortable in the hands in whichever grip you want to go ahead and hold it. So in standard grip or even in the reverse grip, you're able to do that. Now the one thing I really did like about this knife, for me specifically, is that I can easily see this knife playing dual roles. In other words, I can easily use it as an EDC knife, but I can also use it as a backup self-defense option if I needed to. So because of the sheer length of that blade and just you know, the way that my hand wraps around the handle, I can choke up on it, or I can come back here, and gives me a little bit of extra reach on the blade itself. So again, that's a 4.5-inch blade. Overall length again is 9 3/4. So this is definitely a knife that if you are looking for something that is nice and thin and carries very easily in the pocket but has a pretty large blade, this will definitely serve you very well. Again, this is the Hardwire in the satin finish blade, D2 tool steel by Brous Blades, Jason Brous. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks.